All right, we'll just get right into it. Thank you everyone for joining us for another piece of Milwaukee Food School on our Cloud Cafe program. Today we have Matt and Alexa, co-founders of Meat on the Street, and take it away.
Thanks, Rita. This is Andy Shaka. Hi, everybody. The Milwaukee Food School on NEWaukee Cloud Cafe is so excited to welcome Matt and Alexa Alfaro. Alexa is also one of our community board members, and I'm just delighted that she made time today to show us something really cool. Rita is actually going to stay active throughout the session today, and I'm going to go off camera, and we'll have sort of a split screen view because Matt and Alexa are going to demonstrate something amazing from their menu. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Matt and Alexa to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about their business, how they got started, and what they're making today. And then Rita will be sort of accompanying them through the process. And just FYI, you may see a couple of four-legged sous chefs entering the screen from time to time. It's the reality of being at home, but we're super excited. So Matt and Alexa, I'll kick it to you.
Hi, I'm Matt.
I'm Alexa.
With Meat on the Street. We co-founded this together 6 years ago now.
Yeah, June of 2014. We started with a food truck and then moved into a brick and mortar. We were lucky enough to be published in an international cookbook. So we've done traveling across the country for that. It's called The New Filipino Kitchen. It's 30 recipes and stories about what Filipino cuisine means to us, or growing up Filipino, or any part of our culture. You can get it on Amazon. We also have done some Food Network cooking shows, and yeah, now we're here doing this today. Awesome. Rita is going to be super cool today, and she is going to be demoing this with us. So let's start off with like Filipino cuisine and what it means. For us, Filipino cuisine is something that is communal, in the sense that that's what the family gathers around. And it's more than just like your immediate family. It's like your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your sisters, your friend, your neighbor's friends, dogs, vet, whatever. Like anyone gets invited to a Filipino party to like just celebrate being together through cuisine. So we feel really, really lucky to be able to do this. Today we're gonna do a kamayan. So I'm gonna have you talk about kamayan.
So kamayan platter essentially for Filipinos is, it's a lot of food, first off, in front of a large group of people, and you eat with your hands most importantly too.
And we eat off of banana leaves. So first step down here, we're gonna just tilt just a touch so you guys can see a little bit better, is banana leaves. There are places you can get frozen banana leaves at any of your like supermarkets, in the Asian aisle, as well as at an Asian grocery store. There's a bunch of mom and pop places. Just Google Asian grocery store and you'll be able to find it. And if you can't find it, people will help you. Just ask them where to find stuff. We do all the time when we go to Asian grocery stores, because
fun. You find a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and then you get to talk to them about things. So we have our banana leaves down, as does Rita. The key to layering your banana leaves is make sure you put a bottom layer. So we have this like base layer. This base layer will make sure that your table doesn't get dirty from juices, anything like that. And then we try to keep them, because I happen to get two pretty good leaves here, into like this pretty leaf shape that looks like the banana. So for things first, for kamayan, your first thing that you're definitely going to need to do is wash your hands. So Matt and I have pre-washed our hands. Rita has also pre-washed her hands. And today we're going to throw on some gloves just to make it easier. It's kind of what we do, right, in food business. So we're going to keep it like that. So we're going to throw on some gloves. And first things first, we're going to start with the rice. So Rita, in your foil pan, you have two types of rices right here. We have a white rice and a garlic rice.
You pointed at them. This is white rice and this is garlic
rice. Thank you. I'm not paying attention here. We're going to put that kind of in the middle. I feel like rice is a central part in kamayan, in the sense that it acts as like the carrier, it acts as the sponge for sauces. So it's a really important part of the dish, and I like to build around the rice. So I'm gonna put that in the middle. We also throw in our garlic rice because, you know, it's garlic rice and the flavors are good and it's awesome to eat with the sticks and the pork adobo. So first things first, we're gonna put our rice in the middle just like this. The next like side part of a kamayan dish is definitely gonna be the noodles, and it's called pancit. Ours is called pancit bihon. It's a thin seasoned rice noodle. It's got carrots, it's got cabbage, it's got celery. We also have some chicken in there. The noodles are cooked in chicken broth with garlic, salt, and pepper. So for that, I'm gonna put some on Matt's side and my side, because we'll fight over it, because we both really like it. So this way it will eliminate all that. But you can put it, Rita, you are doing a great job, and whatever you want is awesome. the other part of the pond set is going to be the lemon wedges. This is awesome on top of your pond set. I'm actually going to pre-squeeze, just because why not, and put it all over Matt's.
Why are you putting it on mine?
Oh, you don't want it on
I
yours?
don't know why you're coming on my side.
Oh, sorry. Well, I can switch.
Stay on your side.
I can switch sides.
No,
Well,
that's fine. I'm just saying, why are you on my side?
put it on both sides now. Well, I'm just trying to help you out. Just trying to be a
You
friend.
didn't see.
These are the joys of co-founding a company with your siblings, right?
Yes,
No
yes.
fighting, you guys.
No fighting. Super casual.
That's no fun.
Okay, and go ahead with that.
So next off, on top of the rice, essentially, right in the middle, we're gonna put pork adobo. So what pork adobo is it's slow cooked pork in soy sauce, vinegar, whole peppercorn, bay leaves, garlic, and then it's slow cooked, and then it's got a nice texture on the outside of it as well. And what we're gonna do with that is we're gonna put it right on top. And there's great juices and stuff with that too on the bottom. One thing, if you like soy sauce, I'll add a little more soy sauce on top of it before I eat, but it's totally personal preference.
All right.
Looking delicious.
Yeah, how
Oh my
beautiful
God,
yours
you're just
looks.
killing the game over here.
Look at that. All right, next we foiled our sticks to kind of keep them hot and keep the temperature. Sticks you can put wherever. These sticks are just like shish kebabs of meat that have been marinated for at least 2 days, skewered and grilled. So we got beef, chicken, and pork here. We're gonna just put those wherever. It's a very big street type of food too.
And a big thing too, guys, with the kamayan, it's different in each size. Some you'll see a whole line of kamayan for like 20 people. And like right now we're doing a smaller sampler size because it's 2 people. Got a duck down. So
I know. We're a little.
So yeah, so that's the fun part about kamayan is you can set it up for different amount of people. And that's the coolest part is how many people you bring together. It's totally dependent on you. But next off, we're going to get into
What do you want to do? Lechon?
Yeah, we'll do lechon next. So lechon. So what lechon is it's pork belly. And lechon essentially is salted. It's scored on top, it's salted then, and then it's left in the fridge to dry for a day. So what makes lechon really important is the crispy skin on top, which is the best part. So you got lechon going down, and it has some salt, some pepper, some garlic flavoring as well. And then, am I good? Yeah, good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then on the side, we have all-purpose sauce for the lechon.
Yep. So the brown one is going to be all-purpose sauce. So all-purpose sauce is really good. It doesn't look like it's going to do much, but it actually is like one of my favorite sauces that we found. We don't make ours in-house. We buy it store-bought, but it is one of my favorite sauces to kind of put on everything. And I've turned a couple of friends onto it too. Sherry being one of them. She like is obsessed. After that, we have like what is one of my favorite parts is these Shanghai lumpia rolls.
Oh, these are amazing.
Rita is also very well acquainted with these. So the Shanghai lumpia rolls, these are what I would describe as a more traditional Filipino egg roll. We have a bunch of different egg rolls in our cuisine. This one seems to be more native to us. A couple of years ago on Yelp, some woman came and just wrote a review that was very interesting in my opinion, but she kind of took a bash against our Shanghai lumpia rolls because she was saying that we should have come up with a more original name. If we're Filipino, we're doing Filipino cuisine, why would we have these? So a lot of our Asian influence comes from Chinese cuisine and culture. So we have fried pork egg rolls. These Shanghai lumpia are named this way because the lumpia is the Filipino egg roll part, but the Shanghai also incorporates the Chinese cuisine culture that we've kind of like blended to be our own. So that's kind of the naming behind it too. And then there's 2 sauces for them.
So you got a Thai chili sauce. And just a heads up, guys, you can use the sauce on whatever you like. It doesn't have to just be for the egg rolls. That's what we prefer to do, but it's totally personal preference at the end of the day. And then we actually have an in-house made sauce. It's a tangy sauce. It's got soy sauce, vinegar, garlic, pepper, green onions. Salt.
That's it.
Salt
Yeah.
soy sauce too.
Yeah. So that is that.
So yeah.
And then last but not least is our
Most important part of the meal right here.
Dessert kamayan. So we also have this today too. The dessert kamayan that we put together is we have a leche flan, a half a piece of leche flan here. It's leche flan, I would say, is most similar to like a creme brulee, except instead of like torching the sugar to give it that crunchy top, this one is actually granulated sugar over a fire to melt it to make caramel before the stuff goes on top. So that is what leche flan is. It's like a steamed, would you refer to it as an egg custard, a steamed egg custard? You use a water bath to bake it.
It's cooked in a water bath essentially. And for Filipinos, we have these cool containers. They're called flan containers for us. Flan's really big in Filipino culture. So there's these little metal containers and about the size of an oval. And then what you do with that is, she said, is you put the sugar down and then over a stove, a flame, you just shake it all over until it's really nice and golden brown. And that's where it gives it the the color on the top of it. And it also gives it a lot of flavor too when you caramelize sugar, which is really cool. Right here, we're going to go to next. These are the Turon rolls. Turon rolls normally come with caramel and powdered sugar on top of them, but today we're not going to do that. But inside the Turon rolls is still really good. It's got banana, chocolate.
A Filipino banana called a saba. They're kind of hard to find in-house, so sometimes we have to substitute plantains if we can't get them, which is very similar. Saba and plantains are known as cooking bananas, so not a banana you typically just peel and eat. It's meant to be cooked with. And ours also have chocolate chips, because banana and chocolate chip, and then caramel powdered sugar, deep fried. It's delicious. And the last thing are these little triangles. These are what's called babinka. It's a sweet rice flour cake, dense like bread pudding. It's got eggs, sugar, Parmesan cheese. And this dessert is really awesome because it's also gluten-free because it uses a sweet rice flour. So this is our kamayan spread for today. Rita, how's it going?
Amazing.
Rita, yours looks great too.
Woo! I've been headless this whole time.
That's all right. The kamayan looks great, which is all that matters.
This is the show. Exactly.
This is it. So that's all it is, you guys, for putting a kamayan together. It's super cool. You don't have to do it with Filipino food. You can do it with whatever food. They use
Filipino food's the best food to do it with.
Yeah, that's what we think. But
just gonna say that. I know that might be a little biased, but
and so eating with your hands. They say the reason they used to eat with their hands is because they would do kamayan when the military was in the Philippines. This is kind of how this started, and they didn't have like utensils and stuff like that in the fields where they were at. So they would just put down banana leaves and eat with their hands. Another part of the culture is that eating with your hands, you use the food to like, harvest it, to, like you use your hands to like harvest the food, to grow the food. Oh, sorry. You use your hands to harvest the food. And then you use it to also nourish yourself too. So it's just like an organic form of eating.
This has been so cool. Please tell us more. Yeah, it looked like, Rita, could we see yours one more time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Nice. Rita.
Didn't she do? Yeah, I just want to give her props for a great job.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's awesome.
Look at those bananas.
Rita, you want to
Incredible.
the street?
Yeah, I'm just saying NEWaukee. We need to change.
We love
the shit.
NEWaukee too much too. No.
I'll send my resume.
Okay.
That's awesome. So I would love for you to tell us more, Matt and Alexa. I also just want to make sure that we let the people who are watching know how they can get all of these wonderful ingredients and do this at home, because I'm sure they all want to after seeing this, and especially seeing, Rita, you pull things together so beautifully, right? So what is the best way for folks to get in touch with you right now if they wanted to replicate this at their own table with their own family?
So there's two ways right now to get a hold of the business. One of them is going to be online. The URL is going to be www.mots, like meet on the street, but just abbreviated for MOTS. So MOTS, and then the word catering, catering.com. That's our online menu. You can order through there for pickup. We have curbside available. We also have takeout available. Meat on the Street is a food truck. We are also a brick and mortar. So we have like what we call a food stall in downtown Milwaukee. So we're one of 5 tenants in a food hall. We are in the 1125 Food Hall, which is on 9th Street, 3 blocks west of the Pfizer Forum. That is open Monday, Tuesday, closed Wednesday, and then reopened Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And we're closed Sundays too.
Correct. So
I put that in the chat, and then I also put it in Facebook, and we'll make sure that it gets posted in the food school. And I know NEWaukee will post it as well. But could you tell us a little bit about how this got sort of started for both of you, and what made you decide you wanted to work together and create this incredible, incredible opportunity?
do you want me to start?
You can start it out. I'll follow.
Okay, so I was 23 when we seriously started talking about the business. I was still going to school at MSOE for mechanical engineering. I was in my senior year. I had a couple of internships. I was currently at a sales engineering internship for a UK-based company, and I liked it. I love math. So anything math related that like is logistical like that, I I like it. It makes sense to me. I like quantitative data for that reason. But I wasn't a love, and I kind of like started to look for more, and I just kind of made this realization that like I like making people happy with food. And so I wanted to be able to do that in like as my job, as a career, full time, which sounds weird at first. So I started looking it up, and I realized like, oh, hey, I bet you we could probably like get a food truck going. You know, my dad has always loved to cook in the kitchen. You know, we grew up middle class, so we
It's
were
always been one of his dreams to own a restaurant too.
yeah, and he's from the Philippines. He came to the States when he was about 16 or 18. So I had this idea about a food truck, started doing like research on it, looking at it from like a national level and then down to like Milwaukee and Wisconsin. What are the rules and regulations? And so I pitched it to my parents. I bought an LLC that we didn't end up using for the name, but I bought an LLC to be like, I'm serious about this. Like, I want to do this. And I pitched it to my dad, and luckily my parents said yes. They weren't super upset with me. I had quit my internship and dropped out of college without telling them before pitching, but it all went okay. And our parents decided to invest in us in 2014. As far as Matt coming along, Matt was like 19.
So I was 19, just graduated high school, did what most kids would do, just went off to community college to figure out what I wanted to do long term. After a year in community college, I just noticed community college really wasn't for me. And I actually grew up in the kitchen with my dad. So a big part to me is I love eating. As my family will say, I'll have 6-7 meals in a day. We'll have dinner. I'll still go have another meal. As you're growing up with 3 siblings about the same age as you, you're fighting over food sometimes. You learn the quickest way to get food is to be in the kitchen with your cook. So throughout time, I just noticed that I really fell in love with cooking and just spending time with family too. And that's what food means to us. And this has done, like, the food and the business in so many ways has brought so many friends and families closer to us and introduced us to amazing people. And that's the coolest part, I would say, about the business is what we do. And I love cooking, so it just all meshed so well together.
That's awesome. You know, I know you started with the food truck, as you just said. So what was that experience like? And what was the experience of also then opening a brick and mortar and kind of balancing these demands? What was that like for you as business owners?
Food truck was very interesting the first year or two.
I would say the first 2 years. It was just Matt and I.
We thought we knew a lot more because we both been in the food and beverage industry for a long time. I was in it since 16. I think she was too.
So you were in it for 3 years, and I was in it for like 9,
Yeah.
maybe 7. We thought we had all this experience.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
But we thought, oh, we're good. We can do this.
We'll be fine.
The food and beverage industry is not an easy industry. We're going to tell you from experience, but it's an awesome industry.
The food truck was awesome because it gave us flexibility. It gave us flexibility in the sense of we dictated our own schedule. Like if we went to an event, that's what we got to do. And it allowed for us to kind of navigate our way through this. And I think with our food in 2014, when we opened, Filipino food was being whispered about. Now, 2020, a lot of people know what Filipino food is. And if they haven't had it, they know about it. In 2014, it was a lot of explaining and education. So what
do you have on your truck? What are you guys selling? Like that was a very common
and like, is it spicy? So we had to really introduce the city to it. But luckily enough, you know, we stuck with it. We made it work. We did a lot of festivals. And the reason we did festivals is because we wanted everyone to try our food. Because we were like, no, they're going to love it. We just got to get it in front of people. And so we chose to do a different route in which we really tried to transition our business early on into doing high volume events to spread the food, to spread awareness, to get people talking about it.
And a fun side note on doing the big events. Actually, the first really major big event we did was with the wonderful company NEWaukee. Right over there, and they were awesome to work with. So that was one of our awesome events we did, and still our favorite event to do to this day.
That was our first sellout, was at the NEWaukee night market. And that was when things started to click, like, oh, okay, this is where our food really shines in this lane. So that's what we started doing. And then the brick and mortar, you know what? I swore that brick and mortar was going to be life-changing for us, and it was, but not in the ways I had originally anticipated. I thought it was going to be everything was going to be figured out. That was it. We were set 3 years in. It was going to take off how I wanted it to. And then we opened it in an underdeveloped neighborhood. And the Bucks Arena hadn't even been announced when we had signed our 5-year lease. We're almost 4 years into it now. So it's much different. But the other thing too is that a brick and mortar is so different than a food truck. That food truck can fit in like just the front space of our storefront area. We're so used to having this tiny space, and then all of a sudden we had to grow into this kitchen, and we've outgrown it now. But it was a big transition, and the restaurant taught us, like, we had to hire staff. Like, we had staff here and there, mostly a lot of like family help or friend help in the beginning with the food truck. But once we had a restaurant, in order for Matt and I to have a better quality of life, we had to hire staff, which means we had to figure out how to like manage a team, how to pay a team consistently, how to bring in that much money on top of our like bills because they jumped. The restaurant was a little scary the first winter because it almost tanked the business and like how much it cost to really get it off the ground. But we stuck with it, and then we started to really grind in summer because the truck was paid off, and it could basically just generate all this cash and this flow of money and still like promote our business and get our name out there. And then the restaurant stayed busy in a kitchen prep sense because it facilitated the truck into being bigger and better with all this food, which helped drive people to the restaurant. So it really was a relationship. We had to work at both of them to really make them grow and connect together.
And
Yeah. Oh, no, go ahead, Matt.
And having both is very cool too, because it's awesome to give your employees the opportunity to have a change of pace at time, because food truck to restaurant's totally different. And then B, it's just so different where you're showing up to sell people food, or you're going to do a private event, pulling up to people's houses, businesses and stuff like that. So it's very cool to be able to just pull up with your food and just serve it. Where a restaurant, oh, you have to come here, or we'll cater it for you, but you have to come and get it. You know, it's two different aspects in business-wise in restaurants.
It really is like you're running two completely different businesses that both happen to serve the same food, right? I mean, it's a very different process. What has the current state of the industry and kind of where we are with the pandemic and everything done to your business model? Are you finding that you're doing more food truck events? Have you faced some challenges? Like we know everyone is, right, in small business, but especially in the restaurant industry. So what are some of the things that you've had to deal with in the last several months?
Well, first off, the food truck pretty much died down because the food truck would do events with anywhere from 2,000 people all the way up to 10 to 15 to 20,000 people.
Yeah, the truck went Madison to Illinois, and it did 10 to 14 events a week. Sometimes we would most likely do a double, and a couple of times we would do a triple in a day. We would do 3 events in a day, or it'd be like the truck was out for a big long event, so the tent went out elsewhere. So prior to the pandemic, like we were gearing up for this huge summer where we were thinking about adding more trucks to our fleet and maybe doing a couple different types of trucks. So when March hit, our schedule wiped clean in 6 weeks. And then after that, everything was postponed. Everything was canceled for 2021. So we had to really be innovative. The first thing that happened is that lucky enough, our following, our support, people that we've met through business, like our restaurant started to boom. So we actually hired right away 2 employees to help us kind of navigate this new transition with our brick and mortar. And then, sorry, we're filming at our parents' house, and our dog is.
Our dog's
she's
somebody.
barking,
you know, a dog being a dog.
barking at the delivery driver.
She's like,
Chiming in.
Yeah. And so we had to, the truck was kind of like a waiting game because we wanted to take the truck out. We knew it would do well, but we had to transition because there's no festivals, there's no mass gatherings. So it was like, hey, if you're in the downtown area, we have a spot that you can get or you can get delivery to. That's like reasonably close in my opinion. But if you're from Kenosha or Waukesha, you're not coming to the city to go to events and do stuff, but you still want to eat our food. So we started to go out to all these different suburbs outside the city. The truck's in Brookfield right now till 7 p.m. And that's kind of what's been carrying us through. And like I said, our following is just, we're so grateful. We had so many people when I was at Brookfield today come up and I got to say hi and they're like, thanks for coming out to Brookfield. We're so happy you were here. So that's exciting that people are still excited to see us even through this craziness.
Our following's meant a lot throughout these, because we wouldn't be here without the following we have, honestly, because as you guys are hearing left and right, places are closing. So if you know somebody, go support them, because it's not easy owning a restaurant right now. Because you can't work from home with food, or you can't, like, it's not easy for people like, oh, we want you to leave our house, come eat with us, when it's almost dangerous at times to go leave your house or do things in a certain aspect.
Yeah, you have an incredible following. I know the first time that I tried your food was after I moved back to Milwaukee from New York, and we live right on 4th between Michigan and Wisconsin, and we were at the NEWaukee night market, and it was unbelievable And there was a huge line and it was the line that kind of drew us to the truck, right? Because there were so many different places we could choose from. But I'll tell you, I have a comment from Diane who says, coming to Kenosha next week, cannot wait. Haven't had your food since you were here last winter, bringing my daughter to try it. So that reminded me, for people who maybe aren't familiar with the flavor profiles, you talked a little bit about it during the assembly of the tray, but for someone who's maybe new to Filipino food, what are some things that you can say about your favorites or the things you love to cook the most, or what they might expect if they're trying it for the first time?
So first off, we started with 3 items on the truck.
The kebabs, the
Yeah.
rices, and then those. Yeah.
So we started with 3 menu items when we first opened up Meat on the Street back in 2014. Time flies. So one of my personal favorites is what Alexa's eating right now. It's
You're
the
my
meat kebabs.
favorite.
So these are the first thing we had on the menu. It's a family marinade. It's marinated, as she said, for about 2 days. So in Filipino culture, there's very big spices that we use a lot. Garlic and vinegar and soy sauce, I would say, are the 3 big ones.
Ingredients, yeah.
There's 3 big ingredients that we use constantly.
Mhm.
So these are phenomenal. They're citrusy. They have a nice cracked pepper flavor at the end. The
Mhm.
grilled on it's amazing because it adds the charred flavors as well. So
We
it
need the
gives it-
char on there, but yeah, I mean, I like my sticks extra crispy, but that definitely is
Yeah.
where it's at.
And next off, what we added recent, how long, a year in?
Yeah, we added
A year in, we added adobo. Adobo slow cooked pork, soy sauce, vinegar, garlic,
Mhm.
whole peppercorn, bay leaves. It's got this great acidity behind it. And then with the base of garlic rice or white rice, it gives it a nice balance because it's able to soak up all the flavors.
Mhm.
And then you're able to enjoy it better rather than being too much of meat and you're just like, oh, I want something else. So it balances very well together. Puns that we've had on the menu since the beginning as
Mhm.
well.
And the flavor
Yeah.
profile.
So when you're, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andy.
I was just going to say, when you're, having kind of a rough day or and craving some comfort food, what is your go-to other than, let's talk about the dessert a little, because I'm telling you, I posted the photo of the turon that I got from you during your anniversary special, and I had friends from all over the place that I hadn't talked to talking about how much they love it. And, I'm in the food world, so it stands to reason, but it was so delicious and just so flavorful. So let's talk a little bit about the desserts.
Turon or the flan?
Well, I posted the turon, but please tell us about all of it, because I think that it's just so good. And, the idea of having a delicious gluten-free dessert, I know, is a big seller for a lot of people. It's hard to find, especially a really lovely cake. But yeah, tell us a little bit about those. If you're having a craving, what's your first grab off the dessert tray?
Dessert tray for me personally, it's hands down the flan.
It's also mine.
yeah.
I had it for lunch today. It was delicious.
We grew up with our dad making these in the kitchen, and we'd have to sneak in to take bites before family parties, or he'd yell at us because it wouldn't look as pretty.
Yeah.
So that personal favorites flan. It's such an amazing flavor profile, the texture,
It's so good.
everything's put together so well, and it's fun to make. Honestly, if you haven't made flan yet, give it a try. It's not easy, but have fun
It's
trying to
not
make
hard
it.
though. It's the cooking
It's-
process. Hey,
It's a lot to cook. I'm not gonna lie. If you have
just watch a video on it. Watch
If
a
you guys
couple
have
videos.
decent cooking skills, you'll be fine to cook it.
Yeah.
Well, it's as Jennifer Bortolotta always says, right? Don't be afraid to try something new.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just get in there. The worst that happens is, you burn something or, it doesn't work out. But we've got a question from the chat. And just a reminder to anyone watching on Facebook or watching on the Zoom, go ahead and type out your questions if you'd like. I'll make sure they get answered. But Larry wants to know if there are vegetarian versions of any of the dishes that you made today.
Yep. So we have a nice vegan vegetarian option menu that ranges from a couple. There's rice with marinated tofu. So we take our tofu and we marinate it in our house-made vinegar sauce. So it's soy vinegar, green onion, salt, pepper, garlic. So we marinate it in that and then we grill it. So it's got this really nice punch to it. And then with garlic rice or even the pancit, the flavors really all blend well together. So that's one of my favorite options. We have a spicy version of that. We have, we do fusion fun dishes every once in a while. So burritos are something that we do, fusion fun.
We added a tofu binnacle to the menu recently too.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Lemon, ginger, coconut
Yeah.
broth. It's got tofu, Roma tomatoes, straw mushrooms,
onions.
ginger, onions.
Mhm.
So that's a really nice light dish. It's just essentially just boiled or No, sauteed?
No, the tofu is
Pan-fried.
cut into cubes and then fried, and then it sits in that juice for a while. So and like
It's cooked in the
tofu's
juice,
you know,
too.
it's a sponge. It soaks up all the flavors.
Yeah, so that's phenomenal.
That's about everything.
It's really important for us, as she said, we have gluten-free, we have vegetarian, vegan. Like, we like to have options for everybody to come and try. So if you bring a family or more than 2 or 3 people, everybody can get something to eat that they're able to actually eat and enjoy, because that's very important for us to do for people as well.
That's great. Thank you. Another question about the process of being in a book and what that was like, and the experience of sharing recipes, you know, things like that. What can you tell us about that experience?
So the book, that was a super cool experience. It kind of like started with this guy named Ray De La Cruz, who came to visit us like a year and a half ago. Shout out to Ray. No, when he did the original interview. I saw him recently though. Like in 2018, I saw him. Yeah.
I was gonna say, am I losing my time? Touch with time that much?
No,
Make me feel
much.
crazy.
So he did an article. He came up from Illinois because he had heard that this Filipino food truck started in Milwaukee, and he wanted to meet us. He was hilarious. He had us jump in front of the truck and do all these like post things, and we weren't used to doing that yet. It was our first year, and Matt was like looking at me like, "This guy is. I'm never interviewing again." What we have to do.
I've gotten better with videoing and cameras and stuff over the years, but
so he was super funny. But he wrote about us, and then this woman who I believe she was originally living in Norway, Jacqueline Chiolari, who ended up being the editor of this book that we were published in, reached out for an interview. And so I did this like very in-depth interview with her, talking about what I remembered going to the Philippines in 5th grade, and like what I remembered back then, even as a 20-year-old, and how that kind of like shaped my image of Philippines and Filipino cuisine, and then how I saw it in America, because it's a little bit different, translating that. And we did the interview, and the interview got a ton of social media actions on it, and so she invited us to apply to be in the book from there. And so I did it. I picked a story about dropping out of college to pursue my dream. So in a sense, my dad came to America and had the American dream, where he had grown up in poverty but was able to give his kids, you know, this huge jump ahead in life by, you know, graduating from college, having a stable job. My mom's a nurse, he's an engineer. They've always been a big part of our lives. And then, you know, wanting to make sure their kids had the opportunity to go to college. And then I'm in college for engineering, and then I'm like, you know what, no, I don't want to do this. I want an unstable job in the food and beverage industry, and I want to run my own business, even though I don't know how to do this. So I wrote about the challenge.
Still questioning that.
So I wrote about the challenges of that. And the recipe I decided to share was our fried egg rolls. They are known as lumpia. They're a different version of lumpia. They're not the all meat one. They have the veggie and the ground pork. And the reason we chose to share that is because I wanted it to be something that I remember bonding with my dad over. And that's what we used to do. We used to cook the filling, got to wait for it to cool, got to peel apart all the wrappers, and then you can start to roll them. So there's all these steps leading up to the actual rolling process of an egg roll. And for my dad and I, that was kind of the foundation of how we built our relationship, even though like at times it was tested with like dropping out of college. So that's kind of where it came to be. I lucked out in the sense that our book process was so easy. I had to do like 3 edits on my story. My recipe was good to go pretty much from the start. And then I just got to reap all the benefits of connecting with all these other amazing and talented chefs across the world. And I feel so lucky to have a family from being published in that cookbook. It's not just we share pages, and we're so close now from doing all the different opportunities we've had to travel and cooking demos and talking about it and meeting people.
That's such a beautiful metaphor for, I think, what you've built as a business. And I loved the way that you described the relationship with your dad and the lumpia and the process of waiting and rolling those out. Mm-hmm. The first time that I actually saw you speak, Alexa, was at a Women Who Lead event. And one of the things that I really have always loved about following your work and your family's work is that you have such a strong commitment to creating a legacy of mentorship. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who are passionate about cooking. They really want to jump into the industry, and it can be a scary time to look at that right now. So what advice would both of you have for someone who just really wants to sort of change the world through food, or change Milwaukee, or even introduce their talent into this beautiful food space, and they're a little bit, you know, maybe intimidated by the things that are happening right now, either economically or for the industry?
A big part to us is, I would say, first off, you have to find a partner who can fill in your areas.
What if they want to be a solo entrepreneur?
Yeah, if you want to do that too.
Yeah. I think right now we're scared for the future. We're nervous for the future. Like the economy is constantly going up and down. Every time something is announced regarding like a mask mandate or whatever, like we don't see business for 2 days sometimes because it's just so emotionally driven. So yes, that is the reality of the market you're entering. However, the greatest businesses, Matt told me this when the pandemic hit. He was like, Lex, the greatest businesses we all use and love now, they were built during the last recession. Like you get that, right? This is
So true.
This is how the strong survive, or this is how the
It's the make or
innovative,
break.
yeah. And so I think instead of being like, it's so uncertain, we have no idea what's going on, I think you also get to be like, you can do whatever you want right now. There are no rules. Everything's so uncertain right now that you can create whatever lane you want because we don't know what's going to happen. So there's room for innovation. There's room for opportunity. I also think that you need to be very aware, maybe even hyper aware of what you're doing and why you're doing. You can't just put together a product. Oh, I like to make cheesesteak. Okay, well, there's got to be more to this story. And then like, if you want to do cultural or ethnic food, you have to be very, very aware of your intentions with it. And making sure maybe you're not from that ethnic group or culture, but you have to be able to understand it if you're choosing to represent it. I've seen a couple national headlines regarding stuff like that. So just those would be it. But like,
You gotta love it.
Yeah, it's got to be a
You gotta
passion.
love it. Every big business you hear of, they loved it from the beginning when it was just them working, and they love it to this day whether it's a big company or not. But you have to love cooking, or you just have to have passion for it and willing to share.
Mm-hmm.
We've grown up with this great privilege to even have this opportunity to be able to follow our dreams out of the beginning. And you're going to hear of some great places, restaurants that pop up during the pandemic, after this pandemic, which is so cool to see. Like, you guys have made it through a really hard time for this industry.
Mm-hmm.
As she said, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, and we'll never be able to fill that in. But a big part of it, too, is what I always like to tell people is you really need to follow your passion, because you get that pulled away from you in a lot of aspects now in today's day and age. But you always have the choice to follow your dreams. And you're going to hear a lot of people that lost their job, got laid off because of this pandemic, and that's horrible. But at the end of the day, it's never guaranteed to have what you want at the end of the day is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, life's short. Follow your dreams.
Do what you love.
If it's something you want to do, and you know what? Do it in small steps. I tell people, like, start super simple. Like, if you want to sell your food, go to a farmer's market where you have to buy a tent for maybe $100, a couple tables, got to get your licensing. But like, all in all, this investment should cost you under $1,000, which I think is cheaper than an iPhone nowadays. So like,
So true.
There are ways to start here now with what you have and scale your business. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles out the gate. I mean, if you can get funding for that. Awesome. I want to be friends with you so you can teach me how to get that level of funding. But you can do something right now with what you have. I think so many times we are like, well, once we get this, then we can do it, or what? And it's like, no, the time is now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So some of the best stories are people who started way before they were ready, right? And they just learned as they went along. And I think that that's such a great testament to the power of, not just being tenacious and being willing to keep going, but like you said, being willing to shift, learn, ask for help, ask for mentorship, ask for support. One of the things that I personally love about being back home here in Milwaukee is that we have such a strong food and restaurant community, right? We're very collaborative and supportive of one another. But I also feel that Milwaukee has such potential to rise and come together and collaborate in ways that maybe, are a little bit under tapped right now. So if you look at the city and you look at sort of what you see happening in the world around you, what do you think your biggest hopes for the community in which you've chosen to live and build your business are? Like, what would you love to see happen here in Milwaukee to continue to make us a place of greater collaboration and greater conversation, maybe more of these community meals? I mean, how beautiful that you prepared the tray that you did for us today in this meal, because the idea of just sharing and coming together is so powerful right now. What would you say are some things that you hope to see?
For me, it would be like, the first thing I would say is, one, like, you got to be kinder to yourself and your neighbor. And I mean that figuratively, literally, metaphorically, like every way you can apply it. You need to be able to do this. The other thing, we constantly push the boundary of what people think they know and love through, having them try Filipino food for the first time, or they're like, well, my mom cooked adobo like this. And I'm like, I get it. And I'm not trying to tell you that our adobo is better than your mom's adobo. Everyone's grandma too, like does, it the best. I get it. But like, we're trying to move the conversation forward in a positive manner so that we can continue to, create this longevity, like longer than Matt and I. We want our cuisine and culture to be represented and respected and appreciated and loved from all aspects. And I think everybody wants that though. That's not just like a solely a Filipino thing. Everybody wants that from one another. And I think that like being kinder to yourselves and your neighbor helps allow us to move forward. Milwaukee does a great job of embracing diversity. I think that there's a lot of room for it to grow. I think there's a lot of stereotypes that need to be broken. I also think that, at least in the food and beverage industry, there's this huge misconception. I just had a conversation like, this whole system, in my opinion, is broken. The staff, what they get paid versus what they should get paid, benefits and health insurance, the lifestyle of living in this industry. There's so many things that are broken that need to be changed. And so I think people coming together and actually demanding change, or coming together to put aside differences as a restaurant community to better not only our businesses, but be able to better the lives of our employees.
100%. Yeah.
That's a big one. So like for us, like closed on Wednesdays, we catch a lot of heat from our customers about it, but it's actually the one thing that's not about our customers. It's about internally how we operate. It's about our staff, and it's about us having that off day. Even if we have an event, like our staff is much happier, and they work 4 10s. So they work 4 10-day shifts, and then they have 3 days off. So we really are trying to like figure out what works within our business right now, so that as we continue to grow and scale, we can help share like, hey, this is what our staff says they love, because it gives them a day of rest. Or it's like, we only have 3 crazy days of the business versus having like, all 6 in a row, and you're like just exhausted by that last day. That's not fun for us. That's not fun for them. That's not what we want to rep as a business to our customers. And that's not the culture we want either. So I would say that is what I would like to see.
In Milwaukee, I think it's really cool as we all see how much the city's growing. In a lot of ways, we're becoming bigger. The Bucks Arena, bigger buildings being put up, all the apartment buildings and stuff like that. A big part that Alexa said is that all cultures and races can come together as one. I think is a big part for just here and all around the world. I think that's awesome in many aspects to have all these unique cultures in Wisconsin or Milwaukee. That's the coolest part about Milwaukee, is it is literally a little of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You have such a great mixture of people, and that's really cool to see as a person of
color. Yeah, it's nice to see such a blend and diversity, and it's important.
Yeah, it is very important.
Like for Matt and I, like when he's like, what do you want to get for dinner tonight? What do you want for dinner? We most likely pick something that's ethnic and cultural. Like that is our first choice every single time. So for us,
I mean, don't get us wrong, we love our cheeseburgers.
Yeah, and we love cheese curds too, and custard. Big fans of custard.
We love the American stuff too.
We definitely appreciate that. But like culture is so rich to me, and it's just, you learn so much, and I love when you get to learn it from people who just like love giving it. So like I said, when you're kinder to yourself and your neighbor, it opens up doors and conversations to be able to have that, to learn more through, all different activities together.
I think that's so beautiful. I mean, I think food and music, right? Seeing a place is one thing. Traveling is incredible. It's a great way to really explore, but short of traveling to a place, enjoying the food, listening to the music, immersing yourself, you're right. It's a beautiful way to really kind of connect across the table, in the room, with one another, and have those super important conversations. I'm just so grateful to both of you for sharing your story, for sharing this incredible meal with everyone. I know that, the timing at 4:00, it's not our usual sort of noon time, but I know that this will be watched over and over, and we will continue to provide information to people about how to get in touch with you. I want to thank Rita again for for going live with us and sharing her home table. But I really want to thank both of you for everything that you bring, the delicious food. I don't know too many words, but I do know Salamat po. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, Rita, I'll let you close this out. And just everyone have a beautiful day, and be sure to check out Meat on the Street for all of your delicious food needs, because boy, that looks good.
Yeah, you'll notice that my tray is a little lighter than it was.
A little bit of a dent.
That adobo is missing in the middle there.
My husband came through and he had to. Yeah, we're very grateful to have you on the show and to have given us this food. I love your food. I love working with you both, and the opportunities that we get to work together, I really enjoy. So thank you all, especially Matt and Alexa and Andy, and all of you that attended today. We really appreciate it. We have one more Milwaukee Food School session coming up in 2 weeks with Heaven's Table Barbecue, and they are also amazing.
Such good barbecue.
I hope
They're so good. And I think we're going to have a
We
special
love
guest
Jason.
host with them. I think Judge Mosley is going to help us co-host, but
That'll be
he would have come today, by the way, but he had court. So, but I know he's a big fan of your food as well. So
Love Judge Mosley.
Priority.
yeah, he's amazing.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you
everyone.
Thank you so much
Rita,
for
thank
having
you,
us.
Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Check out NEWaukee.com to know what we have coming up on our Cloud Cafe schedule, and we will see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.